He is the CEO and founder of 911 IT out of Salt Lake City. Just 3.5 years ago, Adam was broke, actually more than broke, because he had high debt. He was purely break fix, was doing $570,000 in annual revenue. His company now is a $4 million MSP. Over the last year, he added 37 new MSP clients. And back at our boot camp event, this year's annual boot camp event back in April, if you were there, you saw that he was named our 2023 TMT spokesperson and ambassador to the MSP industry. And before Adam comes up, I want to cue up a really cool video from that boot camp event here.
All of this marketing, all of this effort, if I look at the base, what percentage of them now are annual contracts? What are monthly? In other words, my question is, what's the quality of all of that work? What do you got in a customer base?
I love that question. So when we started with TMT, we had 0 monthly recurring revenue. Well, I guess we had a couple clients, but very little.
Monthly recurring. I want to know how many are locked in for a year or longer.
Oh yeah, every one of them. At this point, we've completed over to complete MSP, and every one of our clients are locked into usually a 3-year contract.
Wow, good for you.
Do you know I've got investments in so many companies, some of them now spending $2 million a month on digital marketing. And I always ask them, do you know what it costs you to acquire a customer? Because the biggest excuse people make, including some of you in this room, is to say, well, that campaign didn't yield great results, but it helped build our brand. Yeah. I say bullshit.
I agree with you.
If it didn't bring in a customer, you wasted that money.
Yes.
So what does it cost you to acquire the
So
next
using
customer?
that Excel sheet that we created, I know my exact cost. It costs us $4,532 to get a client.
You know that number.
I know that number.
I like you even more.
Somebody call 911, IT for all of your support needs. Whoa. Your support needs. Hey. Woo. Yeah, we're talking VPN all the way to the RMN. We keep on.
So watching that video, I have to admit, I get a little bit of PTSD. That was a scary moment in life. Like I said, I'm Adam Spencer. When I see that, it almost gives me goosebumps and chills. That's exciting. That was some good things that we did and impressive. But we didn't always start there. Like you said, we started off as we were broke. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about where we were before we started with TMT. So you can kind of see that journey. I always find it helpful to kind of know where somebody was and then how they got to where they are now so that I can duplicate that and I can do that in my own life. So I got married in 2006 to my beautiful wife, Rachel, who's somewhere here hiding. And after we got married, we moved into this apartment. And I started getting sick, really, really sick. And this is where some of those jokes come from, those meth jokes that Dave loves to tell. We found out that our apartment was contaminated with methamphetamine. And we ended up losing everything. We lost, including our clothes on our back. The only things we were able to keep was all the medical bills and the giant hives that covered my entire body from head to toe, like giant welts. Fast forward a couple years, in 2009, my oldest daughter, Zoe, was born. She was born with a condition called hypoplastic left heart syndrome. It meant that the left side of her heart didn't develop. So, as you could imagine, we had medical bills coming out of the wazoo. We couldn't afford to have an office space anymore. We moved our office into our basement. As you can see on the one side here, we got the red furniture. That is a genuine concrete wall, and that is pink stuff. That's insulation hanging above us. But don't worry, we treated the techs better than that. We had one room finished in our basement, and that was our family room. And we set up cubicles in our family room, and that's where the techs worked. So imagine this. My wife, we've got 4 kids. She's upstairs trying to keep the kids quiet, especially during summer when they have no school. While downstairs, we're all trying to work, be professional, and be able to run the company. Did that for many years. We'll fast forward clean to 2018. In 2018, we were living from job to job still. Now, some of you guys know I like Excel spreadsheets. I love Excel spreadsheets. Even back then, I really liked Excel spreadsheets, but they weren't as much fun as they are nowadays. Back then, I would line up all of my bills and everything that I had to pay for the entire month, and I'd put them on this Excel spreadsheet, and I'd look down at this bottom number and I'd think, how am I gonna make enough money to cover my bills and pay the bills? And I was just hoping clients would have problems, that they'd call me and I could go out and fix these problems. On top of that, we had accounts receivable problems. You see, we didn't want to lose any customers. We were afraid to lose customers. And so we didn't charge our customers late fees or finance charges. And our customers were smart. They realized, hey, 911 IT, it's cheaper to carry a balance with them than it is with Visa or MasterCard. So what did they do? They didn't pay our bills, and they paid their credit card bills. As you could imagine, this led to struggles. We struggled to make payroll. We had no marketing lists, no marketing oil wells. We didn't know how to market. What I'm trying to tell you is we did no marketing at all. But we heard about this thing. It was called monthly reoccurring revenue. And we said, ooh, that sounds good. If I could get some monthly reoccurring revenue, I could then pay that number at the bottom of that Excel sheet every month and not have to worry about it. So we went to our clients and we said, hey, we're gonna do everything for you. We're gonna come in, give you all your cybersecurity, we'll help you with any compliance stuff that we can help you with, we'll help you with unlimited support on-site, off-site, anything you want, 24/7 for $50 a month per device. And our client said, nah, we're not interested. So why am I up here? Why listen to me? Well, how many of you guys have ever struggled? How many of you struggled with any of these things or can relate to any struggle that we went through? That's right. I think every one of us has gone through things in life that have been hard, that have kicked us down, that have caused us to lose that energy, that motivation, and that hope. But you can come back from any one of those things. So in 2022, we brought in $78,301 of new monthly recurring revenue. Our profits were up 76% from 2021, which was still a profitable year. And our closing rate at the end of 2022 was 67%. We were sending out 250 aspirin letters. And when we send out letters, we found that whatever letters you send out, if you make those 3 follow-up phone calls, that's roughly double that amount that you're gonna have to do in follow-up phone calls. So that's about 500 phone calls a week that we were making. We were marketing by numbers. We created these Excel spreadsheets and we've shared them with the community. And they would show us exactly what we need to do and we could plan our results and plan what was gonna come in. We finally knew how to market. Our list was 3,200 people on our list at the end of 2022. Our list right now is over 6,500 and it's still growing. We're now sending out 500 aspirin letters each and every week. That's roughly 1,000 phone calls that we're making every single week. Every one of those 6,500 contacts, we have a marketing plan that we're gonna do and a plan of attack for each one of those. They're all gonna get 4 direct mail marketing campaigns every year. They get a monthly newsletter, the bigger ones get a physical one. They get a monthly postcard, weekly tech tips. We retarget them. We take that entire list and we upload it and we retarget them. So if they are on Facebook or LinkedIn, they're gonna see those ads everywhere and we're gonna be everywhere in front of these people. We send them LinkedIn requests to these. So when you add that up, that's over 96 touches per contact per year. So that's over 624,000 touches a year that we're doing to our list. On top of that, we're still doing Google ads, paid ads, Bings and LinkedIn. Now, just a side note on this. We paid the company, and we had an ad budget spend of $30,500 a month. And we had a company manage that for us, and we didn't get results. We did it for a year and a half with them, and we got 1 client that was really small and 1 lead that was a home user. We then switched that over to TMT, and since then, we've done that about 3 weeks ago, and we already have 3 leads that have came in off of that. So it does matter who you use. Find somebody that knows what they're doing. We're still doing SEO on our website. We're doing blog posts. We're putting together a how-to series on how to grow your business. We're taking the things that we've learned from being part of this community and now sharing that with our network and with our clients and prospects. We do a self-published magazine every quarter. We're canvassing local businesses with a ransomware survival kit. We took this ransomware survival kit that gives them a checklist and says, here's the things you need to make sure you're doing now so you can stay safe and stay prepared. And we also, inside of that, says, in case of emergency, break glass, and it has a list of, here's what you do if the worst happens and you do get hit with ransomware. And we're using that to go around and canvas. We're getting good results off of that as well. We're building our sales team. We have a sales manager, multiple SDR reps, outside sales reps, and we're working on building that inside sales rep process. Wow. I think you guys would agree, that sounds overwhelming. I remember 4 years ago, sitting, listening to my first thing in rapid implementation and thinking, holy cow, this is a lot. And that is a lot, but that's not where you need to start. And that's not where we started. Where we started was struggling with payroll. Who here has ever struggled to make payroll? Good, then you can relate to me. So we're struggling at the end of 2018 so much that we had to take money out of our personal savings account just to pay our employees. That same month that we did that, we got a letter in the mail from TMT that said, you can do this, we can show you how to market, you can make all of these things. It seemed like it was going to be too good to be true, but I took the bait and I scheduled the phone call because I figured, what do I have to lose? Shortly after, before my call, this box showed up in the mail. And this is an actual picture of that box. I still have that same box, took a picture of it just for this. And inside that box, there was this testimonial book. And this testimonial book was full of page after page after page of all of these client success stories of how TMT has helped these customers, these companies to make money and to grow their business. Now, if you remember, I'm broke, didn't have money to make payroll, so I had no money I could invest into marketing, especially not to take a dive into a new marketing program. But don't worry, I put that money on a credit card, and I signed up for rapid implementation. Show of hands, how many people have been to rapid implementation here? That's a lot of hands. How many people have been to rapid implementation more than once? More than twice? More than 3 times? Okay, so I'm the only one. Okay, that's good. So rapid implementation. In rapid implementation, this was like drinking from that fire hose. We defined our target market. We defined our unique selling proposition. We had clarity on our website on what our website should say. Now, we had a website from when we first started in 2004, cleaned up until we went to Rapid at the very start of 2019, and we never had one single lead come in off of our website. Once we switched over and we set up our website like it was supposed to, we started getting leads. We had people coming to our website. We put together a list, and we properly segmented that list. And then we started marketing to that list. We created a referral marketing system. And then 90 days after we went through this, TMT helped us and held our hand and walked us through this process. And by the end of those 90 days, we had brought in $14,728 of new monthly recurring revenue. That's roughly $467,000 in contract value. This was life-changing for us. We had some of that monthly recurring revenue that we were hearing about. And all of a sudden, we could start to pay some of those bills. We learned other things, though, from the community and going through Rapid. We also learned how to convert our clients that were break-fix clients to all be on this managed services. What we did is we put together these lunch and learn seminars. And we said, we're going to put together this seminar. We're going to send out an invitation. And we had this little white box. And we made this little invitation inside of it that says, don't be a sitting duck. Come to our lunch and learn seminar. And then we used this little glue sticky dot, stuck a rubber duck to the top of that invitation, put it in a box, and sent it out to all of our clients. And then we had different dates that we would invite them to. And so we ended up doing 3 or 4 lunch and learn seminars. And during this seminar, we'd present to them. So we gave them lunch, fed them, made them happy. And then we talked to them. We said, here's where IT used to be. It started off as kind of like, this break-fix model you just call us when you have problems, and then customers started needing having backups, and they needed that data to be backed up and somebody to watch that backup to make sure that it was actually happening. And then you needed virus protection, you needed all these problems, and then companies said, you know what? I don't want you just to come out and fix problems when we have them. I want you to do some preventative stuff, and I want you to kind of find those little problems, fix those before they could become big problems. And that kind of evolved into the managed service model where we become their outsourced IT department. And we went through and we talked to them about all these different risks and things that they face. And then we gave them this checklist. And we said, here's a checklist that you guys can go and do right now. And these are the things you can do that would help you be more secure than you probably are today. And they're easy to do. So number one, make sure that you have your data is backed up and it's actually backing up your data. Number two, have a process in place for wire transfers. So if somebody says, hey, I need you to pay this invoice, you have a way to know that it's legitimate and that you should actually send the money. Have good passwords on all computers. Make sure your website has an SSL on it, and secure your wireless network. Easy things that customers could easily do. But then we told them, we said, but if you really want to be secure, you need to do this routinely. Because if you do this routinely, you're going to keep checking on that because things change. Maybe you hire a new person. Maybe your data changes what program you're using it now. It needs to be backed up in a new location. But if you really want to be safe, there's a few more things you need to do. And then we'd talk to them about these things. We'd say, you need to check for open ports. You need to approve updates. You need to configure your firewall, test users on phishing, monitor viruses, ransomware, spyware, review your technology needs, block bad emails, and the list would go on and on and on. And by the time we went through this list with them, and this was the exact slide that we would use, it just is overwhelming. And we'd tell them, we'd say, you know what? We've never once had a client call us and say, hey, can you come in and check all the file permissions for us and make sure that nobody has access to something they shouldn't have? Can you come in and just make sure that the firmware is updated on our router? Nobody ever called us for that, but they need those things done. And we said, but don't worry, we understand this is a lot, but we've put together this package, and we call it our 911 worry-free IT package, and depending on what they need, if they needed compliance and things, we said it's $100 to $150 a computer. And guess what? Every single one of our clients signed up. The same clients that wouldn't pay us $50 a month to do almost the exact same things, now using the right language, marketing that we learned from this community, now pays us $100 to $150 at the end of that seminar to get signed up. Austin, can you fix my slides? So this is the low-hanging fruit, and there's lots of different low-hanging fruit. So this is a good example of it. And that's one thing I like about rapid implementation is it makes you go after some of that low-hanging fruit. And converting your clients from break, fix to manage, that's a great example of low-hanging fruit. Now, the apple that's way at the top of the tree, Dave Randall will tell you that apple tastes better, but I'll tell you it tastes the same. I had Dave lift me up once, and I grabbed one of those apples. It tasted just the same. You don't need to do that. Another way low-hanging fruit is ask for referrals. Dale Carnegie says 91% of your customers said that they'd give you referrals, but only 11% of salespeople actually ask for referrals. So we talked about that low-hanging fruit. We talked about how we should always be going after that low-hanging fruit. And in my company, you'll hear my employees, they always probably hate me saying, let's go after that low-hanging fruit, focus on that low-hanging fruit. But one of those things that we found was rapid implementation made us go after that low-hanging fruit. So when we went to Rapid the first time, we got $14,728 of monthly recurring revenue. So we said, let's do it again. So we went again to Rapid. And the second time we went to Rapid, we got $10,852 of monthly recurring revenue, roughly $412,000 in new contracts. We said, that's cool. Let's do it again. So I went a third time. And the third time we went, we got $12,211 of new monthly recurring revenue, roughly $435,000 in new contracts. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. If he did it 3 times, he probably did it 4, and you're correct. I did it 4 times. And the fourth time we went, we got $25,510 of new monthly recurring revenue. That's just $566,000 in contract value. So the totals from just going to Rapid and following that process and having TMT hold my hand and make me do these activities, we brought in $63,301 of new monthly recurring revenue. That's roughly $1,880,000 in new contract value. Now, how many people here are going to go to Rapid again? Yeah, I would hope every hand would be up. So each time we went to Rapid, that's an average of $15,825 that we would get from that. And the average contract value of that, of each time we went, was $470,000. Now, I also was told that I need to talk to you guys about how did we get such a high closing ratio? How did we get 67% closing rate? And there's a process for this. And if you follow this process, it'll help you get that higher closing ratio. And there's things you can do. And as we went through Rapid over and over again, every time we went through, we learned something new. We improved something. Our USP started off as just some words on a paper. The next time it got a little better. The next time it really got ingrained into our company. And the same thing happens with everything that you work on. So when we started off, we had our shock and awe box. And our version 1 of this, we had a folder. We had a couple pages in here. We had some stuff. It was better than nothing. It was better than probably most companies are given to their prospects, but it wasn't great. But as that evolved over time, our current shock and awe box, it now still has some papers on the services and things that we offer and on backups. And as we talk about those backups and the pros and cons of on-site and off-site backups, we also include that client bill of rights that tells them that we're guests in their network. Everything we do, we create and generate for them is theirs. We give them a 100% money-back guarantee and say, there's no legalese. If you're not thrilled, you don't pay us. That's it. It's as simple as that. We also give them this comparison chart that they can use as they're interviewing other vendors. And we put on the things that other vendors in the industry is kind of known for not doing. That we've ingrained into our company is, here's the things we're going to do, like answer your phone calls live. Back up everything you say you're going to do with a 100% money-back guarantee. I can't remember the whole list, but the list goes on. You can read if you zoom in really close. We also put in there an Amazon best-selling book called Cyberstorm, all about cybersecurity, to establish us as a credible authority. The magazine, the MSP Success magazine that featured me on the cover and had a great about us story and where we started, why we do what we do. And then just like that box that we got from TMT that had that testimonial book in there, that had page after page of all these good client reviews, we created our own testimonial book full of client reviews, page after page after page. And then on top of that, we put in a video brochure that shows me on the news, that shows me up speaking on stage, that does all these things to build up credibility for the client. And we put all of that into our welcome box, shock and awe box that we send out to our clients. So the way this works is we get our appointment. Before we set our appointment, we actually go down and sit with them. We're going to send this box to them so they can have all of these pre-meeting materials and go through this before they ever sit down and meet with me. It's common to sit down with somebody and have them say, wow, that's impressive. I don't know if we can afford you, but that's exactly what we need. That makes the sales process much easier. We do what we call a consultative sales process. So as we go through this, we're going to prepare and send out the materials, do everything we need to do, and when we go on site, we're going to try to connect with them. We want to connect with them and understand what is their issues, what problems are they having, why are they calling us in and not using their old vendor, what makes that different. Then we're going to go through and run the audit, run the assessments on there. We run 2. We run the Galactic Advice Scan, and we also run the Rapid Fire tools. Both of them give us great data. It's a lot of data to go through with a customer. We don't go through that with the customer. We then take all of that data back and combine that with what they said, this is our problems, this is what we want to solve, and we put this together into our report. And as we put this together in our report, we then can go present that, get our commitment, and we start our onboarding process. So we use this tool. It's called Audit for IT. Does anybody in here use Audit for IT? It's a great tool. We love it for doing this. It takes that level of technical talk and gets rid of it. We're basically selling colored boxes to our clients. Red is bad, yellow is not good, green is good. How do we get you from a score of 27 to a score of 100? Here's what this takes. Now, this is a little tangent, but this was something else that we've kind of learned over time that was kind of cool. I'll share with you guys. We have our shock and awe box, and it worked so well, and it was just this wow factor. And we said, how can we keep this wow factor happening as they go through onboarding, as they go through service, as they go through these other parts of the company? And so we created an onboarding welcome kit, gift, shock and awe box for them. Inside of it, we put a mouse pad. So we've got our brand on it, so they've got our number. We gave them a sheet that comes up and says, here's how to open tickets and set priorities so you know how things are going to be handled and how to contact us and when to contact us. We give them some stickers. It says, now when IT has my back, they can slap it on the back of something. Phone numbers, so they can put that on their monitor. It fits right on the edge of the monitor perfectly. And just a logo they can slap on something so that they can just plaster their stuff with 911 IT, and they always know how to get a hold of us. On top of that, we give them this easy button. Now, this easy button is what we call it. And you probably maybe heard it in our theme song that we talk about this easy button. When they push this button, it grabs the last 15 screenshots. It grabs all the data off of the computer, what the process is running, how things are working, how should they be working, puts all of that together for us and goes and creates the ticket based on what they type in as well. And then we also give them a Yeti mug. So the way this works is we do our onboarding, we go through our onboarding, and one of the last steps in our onboarding is we get the company together and we do a training. And we say, here's how you can interact with us, here's how you work with us, and here's how you open tickets, here's how you set those priorities, and we go through all of that. When they're done, they go back to their desk, and they have this welcome gift sitting on their desk. And they open that up, and it has all those things inside of it. And that has really increased and kept that wow factor as we've gone from the sales and marketing through onboarding, which is normally kind of a painful experience for clients and makes it a great experience. Okay, now back to the sales to get that percentage. We talked about kind of the overview of the process, but another big part of this is you have to know who to market to. If you don't market to the right people, you're not going to have any closing rate at all. You have to market to the people that you want and the people that can afford you. Building this list, this is a struggle. And a lot of people, they look for that easy button. They want to find that easy button, hit that easy button, and just move on. And that's why very few people have got a good list that gives a very good response. You have to have good information in this list. Now, this is a true story. I had somebody call me, and they call me on the phone. I answer the phone, and I say, hello, this is Adam Spencer. And on the other line, they say, hello, I'm looking for a damn Spencer. And I say to them, of course, well, there's 6 of us here. Which one do you want? And they didn't get my joke. And so they said, well, I'm looking for a damn Spencer. So I'm like, yeah, that's me. My name's actually Adam, but you can call me a damn if you want. And they continued to call me a damn for the rest of the time on the conversation. So even though they had the correct name, you have to make sure they know how to use that list as well. But what this comes down to is you have to stop spending good money on bad data. So how do you guys do this? I'll tell you what we did. You have to get your list properly cleaned. Here's what we did. We went to each and every contact in our list, and we said, we're going to go look at your website. We're going to go to your Google My Business profile. We're going to go look you up on LinkedIn. We're going to do some research on seamless.ai. And we're going to take all of this information, and we're going to put it together into this nice little package, and we're going to call this our perfect little contact, and we're going to go market to you. And we did that, and we sent them out, and we found out we still had bad data. Still wasn't good. We have to stop spending good money on bad data. So it was back to the drawing board. And as we're sitting there, and as we were talking as a team, we were saying, how are we going to do this? We've tried this. We're still getting bad data. There's got to be a better way to do this. We came up with the idea of, wouldn't it be nice if you could just do this as a simple phone call? And as you do this simple phone call, you could just ask them and say, hey, who should I market to? How many computers do you have? Are you a good fit for us? And can I get your email address? Well, turns out you can actually do this. But what should that sound like? Let's hear it.
This lady, this is Jesse.
Hi, this is Dustin from 911 IT. I'm trying to get a package out to you. Is the address 9108 South Redwood Road, West Jordan?
Yes, it is.
Perfect. And is James Lowry still in charge?
Yes, he is.
And what's the best email address for him?
jlarry@cruiselady.com.
Perfect. And how many computers do you have?
About 17.
Perfect. I'll get this package sent out to y'all. Y'all have a great day.
You too.
And that was it. A quick 30-second phone call. We were able to get that information, verify that information, and then move on. So I get a lot of questions off of this. I wanted to kind of dive into this a little bit deeper and talk to you guys about how we do this process step by step, what that actually looks like, so that you guys can go duplicate this at your own companies. So we start off with the raw data. Now you can get that raw data from a lot of places. Data Axle used to be called InfoUSA. You can get it from the library census. You can go in there and download X amount of records at a time. You can pay somebody to go on Google and start scraping and finding and searching for your prospects that you want to go to. You can even collect data off of people that come to your website. However you get that data, that's going to come in, and we're going to call that raw data. Now, we learned the hard way, and I'll share a couple other lessons that we learned the hard way as well, but we learned that we didn't want to put bad data into our CRM, which we use Keep for our CRM, and we said we only want good data in our CRM. So we're going to have our scrubbing process outside of our CRM, and we're going to scrub that data. Once we know it's clean, we'll then put it inside of our keep system so that we know anything inside of it is good. Now, you're still going to have some people you can't market to or you find as bad later on, but if it went through that cleaning process and made it into our system, we're going to leave it in our system because it would probably make it through that same cleaning process again, and we don't want to be marketing to those people we don't want to market to. So we build this and we put this into an Excel file, and we said, great, here's all of our raw data. Comes over with all this stuff, and some of it's good information, some of it's just numbers and letters, and I don't even know what it all means. But what we found is you're going to have to go through this, and this isn't something that we found we can have a list cleaner do. We found that we had to do this because we know what type of prospect we want to market to. So when we looked at this list, we said, hey, there's a haircutter stylist on here. Now, they may have 72 employees. They may be doing $4 million in revenue, but they may not even have a computer. Maybe they have 2 iPads, and that's how they do everything. Well, I don't really want to waste marketing money on that. So we're going to take them and delete them off our list. Also, there's a computer software company. I don't want to market to my competitors, so pull them off that list. And after you go through and remove these ones that aren't a fit, you're going to put those into this tab that's this kind of lighter color tab that says approved companies. And we put all of them in there. And then we'd have our list cleaners. We ended up to build our list from 3,200 at the start of the year to 6,500 and still growing. We hired 3 list cleaners because we wanted to do this quick. It's a cheap job, it's busy work, and we wanted to do it as fast as we could. So we brought in 3 list cleaners. So each of those list cleaners would take a company off that approved tab, and they'd move it over to that yellow tab that says cleaning. And then they'd go through that tab and they would start working the process. They'd move over a chunk at a time. And so when they came in, they'd look at this tab that says cleaning, and they'd start at the very top. Now, this is important because we want to make sure we have some kind of a process that's going to flush through every one of these and eventually either mark them as, hey, these are cleaned, or hey, I can't clean these guys. And so they're going to start at the top of the list every single day, and we're going to call this very first person, Colt. So as we call Colt, let's say Colt doesn't answer the phone. Well, we're going to color him yellow, so we know we've called him one time. And then we're going to continue and call the next person, Sherry. We're going to call her on the list, and we're going to work our way from the top all the way down to the bottom of the list, and they're going to move to one of those tabs. Either they have internal IT, and we don't want to send them like the Aspirin campaign or the Band-Aid campaign. We want to send them a co-managed campaign. Or they're not a fit because they're too small, or they wouldn't verify their information. Well, if they won't verify their information, that's not low-hanging fruit, so we don't want to waste time on that. We'll go off that low-hanging fruit because there's so much of it. So by the end of the day, a lot of that sheet's going to get colored, and you're going to have a lot that are yellow. So day 2 number comes around, and as we go through this on day number 2, now we call Colt again. He doesn't answer. Now he goes orange. Yellow, 1 call. Orange, 2 calls. And we'll continue doing that until everybody's had their chance to be called, and eventually you'll have a bunch of orange ones left. Day number 3 comes. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to call Colt again. He doesn't answer, so we color him red. We'll do that same thing all the way down the list until we have all of those either moved over or they're all colored red. Now, eventually, this cleaning tab is going to have them all marked red, and we're going to call them one last time. So this would be the 4th time we have tried calling these people. And if we can't get a hold of them on the 4th time, we're going to leave it colored red, and we're going to move it to the tab that says can't verify. Now, when we move it to that tab, that's not low-hanging fruit. We'll worry about that later. Let's focus on that low-hanging fruit because there's so much low-hanging fruit. You may as well get the easy stuff while you can. Eventually, that list is going to be empty, and there's going to be nothing left on it. Everything's going to be under internal IT, too small, can't verify, verified and cleaned, verified all but PCs. It's going to be underneath one of these things. So let's look at this data. So this is our cleaned and verified data. And as you can see, I had to go through because this was just live data I pulled off of the screenshot off of our contacts that we are cleaning. And you can see that 3rd column over says email. Look at how many email addresses we get. So as we're going through that cleaning process and we're saying, hey, does he have an email? We can send him an email. Look at how many people say, yeah, here's his email. Go market to him. Go send him an email. And as we go through, we have all of that. So that's all that low-hanging fruit that we'll go through. So let's say you do that. You clean your list. You have all that low-hanging fruit. You put them in your CRM. You start marketing to them. Well, what do you do with all that other data? So we've got that other data that's under that can't verify tab. Maybe those are still good prospects. We still maybe want to do work with some of them. They could be a lot of money sitting in there. Well, that's going to look something like this. You're going to have a whole bunch of different colors in here, some yellow, some white, some red, some orange. Now, if we followed this process and we moved them over based on that color that they were and we kept them that color, we can know things. So the ones that are white, we know we called them one time, and on that first time we called them, they said, nope, I'm not going to verify that data. I'm not going to give you any information. So we know those guys are a little harder. The guys that are yellow, same thing, but it took 2 calls to get a hold of them. The guys that are orange, it took 3 calls to get a hold of them. But the guys that are red, now those are the guys that didn't answer their phone the whole entire time. So we tried calling them 4 times, and they didn't answer their phone once. So what do we need to do for those guys? Well, let's go back. We can see if we can find a phone number for them. Maybe we have a bad phone number. Because for us to call a business 4 different times, 4 different days, and them to never answer, something's wrong. They shouldn't be able to do that. So we put this together into this whole list building playbook. And this, you guys all have access to this. I've shared this with all of you. Inside of this, we break this down, and we have what this list cleaner role looks like, so you guys can take this and build out this position in your company. So we break it down. We've got the mission, what they should be doing, their job responsibilities, what they should focus on. I'll skip through this and go through this kind of fairly quick, just because there's a lot of content here, and I don't want to bore you guys to death with it. But what I want you guys to know from this is we wanted them to clean. Let's get to their bonus system. So we measured their success, what that looks like, and what we said is we want you to clean 125 contacts a week. If you can clean 125 contacts a week, then we know you're doing a good job. That's reasonable for them to do. That's 25 a day, pretty easy to do. And they need to be doing at least 100 calls a day. So if they're not getting 25, but they're at least doing 100 calls a day, we can go listen to those calls. We can find out why they're not cleaning at least 25 and getting a hold of them to get those contacts cleaned. But if they're not cleaning that many, we know there's something wrong. So they have to follow our process. We want them to follow that script because there's a couple things that you want to make sure happen. You don't want, they're going to be representing your company. You don't want them to leave a bad taste in this prospect's mouth. You don't want to get any bad reviews on Google for somebody calling and not following your process. They need to know things. They need to know about your company. We want them to do that. But if they do those things, we consider that to be successful. This is a big thing, though. They need to know what a sweet spot client is for you guys. And now this is going to be different for everyone. So when we first started, we started off with CPA firms. And we said, a CPA firm, that's a sweet spot client. We want a CPA firm. Well, we soon learned after we spent lots of marketing money that not all CPA firms are sweet spot clients for us. Some of them can't afford us. Some of them don't care about cybersecurity. After that, we evolved and said, well, we ran out of people to market to in CPA firms. Let's now add on, and we're going to add on some other industries. So we added on engineering and healthcare, and eventually added it up and said we just need to market to the general public. And we said, but we want to make sure that they're still a sweet spot. So we want them to have more than 10 employees, which ideally means they have more than 10 devices. We want them to be concerned about cybersecurity. Ideally, now this doesn't disqualify them, but if they're already outsourcing their IT to somebody else and they're just not happy, then they already have a budget, they already have everything ready to go. That's a much easier sale to get in there and do that. And then we said, and you got to be located somewhere that we want to service. Now, that's a sweet spot, but we still have what we call a qualified lead. That qualified lead isn't necessarily going to meet that sweet spot requirements, but we said if they still have 5, they might still be a fit. They'll be a smaller client, but somewhere between that 5 devices and 10 devices, we found that they can afford us, they can afford our services. Below that, they just couldn't, very rarely could they afford our services, and it wasn't worth our marketing money. So we're going to spend our marketing money on that top list where those sweet spot clients are. If we have extra money, we'll do it on those qualified ones that are 5 to 10, but we'll never go below 5. It's also important for them to know what's not a qualified contact and should not be added to our CRM. Residential customers, companies based out of their homes, 1 to 4 devices, somebody that's trying to sell us something, those are not fits. Now, this is another huge important part of this role. Every one of those ones that we saw on that list that said cleaned and verified, we want to make sure they're actually cleaned and actually verified. So we tell our employees, and we actually do this, we have somebody that will listen to every one of those calls that are cleaned and verified, and make sure that they actually gave them all that information, they asked the right questions, they followed the script, they did those things. Now that goes really quick because that whole call was 30 seconds, and you don't have to listen to that whole call. You can click through and do that. So when they clean and that 125 contacts, and it takes one person a whole week to do that, it takes maybe an hour, hour and a half, and somebody can listen to every one of those phone calls. And so it's a pretty quick process to go through and verify. But we said we've got to be motivated. We got a bonus system. So if they do make their 100+ dials a day, we'll give them a $125 bonus a week. And if they clean at least 125 names, we'll give them another $125 bonus. But we're going to base that off of some quality. We want to make sure that this is black and white. You know, nobody likes those bonus systems where it's like, well, I feel like you didn't do this right. I feel like this should have been different. We want it to be black and white. Either you did these things or you didn't do these. So was the call tracked properly? Did they move it inside that Excel file like they should have? Did they follow our script? Did they have a positive tone? That's it. If they do those 3 things, that's all we cared about. That would be considered a good quality job for them. And then based on that, would give them points. They could earn 3 points a day, would pull 1 call for that scoring every day. And every day they could earn those 1 point for each of those. So 3 points a day, 15 points a week. So based on the percentage of points that they got, depends on how much of their bonus they would get of that potential $250 bonus each and every week. And if they didn't get at least 73%, they wouldn't get a bonus at all. We also have our scorecard in here. We've got our job posting. This is the actual job posting that we use to hire those 3 list scrubbers and take our list from 3,200 to 6,500. Now, it's important for you guys to know, how big does our list need to be? Well, the only way you know that is if you guys track your data. So this is an Excel spreadsheet that we've given access to every single person here. On this Excel spreadsheet, you can put in your values, how many raw leads you got last year, just so far this year, qualified leads, FTAs. Based on all of that, you're going to get a percentage. Based on your growth goal, you're going to get a number of how big your list needs to be, and that's what's circled there in red. And if your list isn't that big, then you need to grow your list. If your list is that big, then great. Maybe you don't need to focus on growing your list. You just need to focus on getting those contacts marketed to. Now, this is one thing that I love about this community. I don't want you to go out and reinvent the wheel. That's why I've given you this playbook. Now, this community that we have is so valuable. Every problem you can imagine, somebody out here has already solved, already dealt with, and they're willing to share with you. Unlike any other organization I've ever found. This is my accountability group. Now, not only is some of these guys some of my best friends, but they've helped me to grow and become who I am today and continue to push me to grow and motivate to become even better. I think every single person needs some kind of an accountability group. Somebody that's going to keep each other on task, help you meet your goals. Each person's going to bring a unique knowledge and ideas, and they're going to share that invaluable experience about their knowledge that they have. They're going to encourage and inspire you, and this is a huge thing here. They're going to be part of your team. Now, I was in business from 2004 to 2018 without an accountability group, end of 2018, and I was doing it by myself. I can't tell you the number of times I would say, man, I'm willing to work. I'm willing to put in the time. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And I just don't know what I need to be doing. And I had nobody I could ask. I had no team. It was me. That was it. So to have that team and have somebody you can go and talk to and say, hey, what am I doing wrong? And they'll give you that feedback is invaluable. So now it's time for you guys. You guys need to go do something. I don't care if it's maybe going to Rapid. Maybe it's you need to track your numbers better. Maybe some of you guys still have break-fix clients that you need to convert over to managed IT clients. Maybe you need to build your list and clean your list. Maybe you need an accountability group. Whatever it is that you guys need to do, decide now, decide here while you're at this road show today or tomorrow, and decide what that is, write it down, and go home and implement something. Because once you implement something, you're going to get better at it. It's going to change. And then next time you work on something, it's going to get better. And it's going to continue to evolve and get better and better and better. Thank you guys for your time. I'll open it up. There's 2 mics over here. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to answer any questions that you guys might have for me.
Adam, a quick question. Did you ever, whenever you first started your list, did you take, you knew you had bad data, did you just take that whole list out of your system and then run it through this
That is exactly what
How
I
did you get started?
So when we started just putting things in there because that's what we learned in Rapid is you got to have that list. We didn't know, I mean, in Rapid, that's where I learned I had to clean my list was in Rapid. But I'm a slow learner. It wasn't until the third time I went to Rapid, that's when I learned, oh, you need to clean your list before you put it in Keep, before you market to them. So yes, the third time I went, I said, this is our problem. This is why we're not getting great results. And we pulled all of that data out. We cleaned it. And as we cleaned it, we put it back in and marketed to it.
You mentioned you have multiple list cleaners, correct? I think you said?
Yes.
3?
Yep.
So do they each have their own list that they're working on from that Excel, or is it actually a combined, like do you have a master sheet and then you split it into 3 lists, or how do you manage kind
That's
of
a great
sharing
question.
this?
Yes, so I have one list that's like their main list that I say, here's the approved companies. And then when they pull it off that approved tab to their cleaning tab, each list cleaner had their own Excel file that they would then work through. Yes.
So a bunch of people at my table were wondering which of your accountability group members had been the most positive influence on you.
It was Matt Wood. It was Matt Wood all the way, Matt Wood.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, Matt Wood.
Matt Wood?
Yeah, all the way, yes. No. Love you, Charles.
I have 2 questions. Number 1, are you driving that Mercedes SUV that you won on the
I drove it for a while until I realized that my kids were going to destroy it, and I traded it in a great big huge truck that's a little more durable. But I love that. So.
I love that. I love that.
Thank you.
So the real question is, when you were building your list, and you said that you were paying $125 to the scrubbers, I was considering using one of those AI tools and the Swordfish. Have you used them? Have you considered them? What advice would you give to me? Use those tools or hire somebody to scrub it?
I would say this depends on you. So you're going to have your budget. I found that using those tools, I still had some data that was bad. Now, using those tools, I had better data for sure than I had, but without using those tools. So I'm not trying to slam on any of those tools. But what I found is I had the best data by hiring somebody. But if that's not in your budget, do what you can, because eventually it will become in your budget and you can do it how you need to.
It's less than $500 a month for about 1,000 records.
So yeah, you're gonna have to look at that. So I would pay them a base of $35,000, and on top of that, they'd get a bonus. So it was a little bit more expensive.
Thank you, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. Just a little bit out of the list building topic. Yeah. I'm interested in what kind of packages or what do you offer to the clients? Are you concentrating just like per computer or per user, and you have like a package and you say, this is what we do for you, that's all we do? Is that what you're selling?
So I will tell you how we do it. I'm not saying this is
Correct.
the only way to do it, because this
do.
is not the only way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we do it as we say, ideally we want everybody to be on our worry-free 911 IT package. If they're not on our worry-free 911 IT package, we still want to get them as a client. And so we have a couple lower offerings that we can get them on so that we can then work them up to that and build that relationship so they trust us enough to get them onto that package. So we have a Cyber Basic, Cyber Care, a Worry-Free, and then we have a Worry-Free Plus, which is an adds-on compliance. There's a bunch of add-on things.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Just going back to your earlier part of your presentation, you said that every time you went through rapid implementation, you added a whole bunch of new MRR. Could you just elaborate on the process, because it's a training course, right?
Yeah, so rapid implementation is going to walk you through taking you from not knowing how to market to kind of getting you into that realm of marketing and actually getting you to actually do those things and implement those things. And what's going to determine your success in that is what you put into it, and if you actually do what they tell you to do, you'll get the results.
So thank you. So as a follow-up, so I just want to know the implication of what you mentioned in your presentation. So after each session, per se, during the next 12 months that you then added that contracts, those new contracts, or those new MRR? Or
Yes.
is it like during the...
What was it like going through Rapid? So Picture this. So you go to Rapid, and you go on site, and you drink from a fire hose. They're showing you every one of these things that you need to be doing and talking to you why you need to do it, why it's important, why it matters, if you're not doing these things, why you're failing. And then they spend the next, and it used to be 12 weeks, now it's 17 weeks, and now they go back through that same information that they give you in class, and they actually help you implement, and they start to go through each one of those things and help you to actually do those things. So you drink from a fire hose, and then you actually go and implement it and do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Adam, for the wonderful presentation. Hey, quick question on the list building that you had. You started off with 3,000 and you went up to 6,500. Did you change from your CPA firm goal to larger industries, or you kept the industry same and the size same? Or is it only Utah State right now, or nation?
Yeah, so that depends on how you want to market. So if you want to market to 200 people and that's all you need to market to, you maybe only need a smaller geographical location. If you need to market to 14,000 people to hit your growth goals, you may have to have a bigger geographical location. So when we first started off with CPA firms, there was like 200 or 300 of them that were in our area. Of those, there was about 150, 200 that were actually qualified that we wanted to market to. As you can imagine, if you're sending out 100 to 200 letters a week, that doesn't let you market very much. You could do it once every quarter. So we needed a bigger list so that we could actually market and grow. And so that's when we decided we've got it. We've got things customized for that CPA firm and financial industry. What's the next industry, and what are we going to start customizing so we can specialize in those other things?
Thank you.
Okay, this is our last question.
Adam, just real quick, I was going to ask you that easy button. Who makes that for you? Where do you get that from?
It's a great question. I should get some commission off of this. So it's a company called Tier 2 Tickets, and they do that system for us. They've been a vendor. I've seen them as a vendor here.
Tier 2 Tickets.
At boot camps before.
Okay, cool,
Yes.
thanks.
Okay, sorry to get everybody's questions, but if there's any other questions, please come find me afterwards. I'm happy to talk to you and answer any questions you guys might have. So thank you.